Subhanallah. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, we can hear
Walaikum
you.
salam.
So I pressed the wrong button. Say again.
We can hear you, but you keep breaking up a little bit.
I was saying we're gonna send the link out to our WhatsApp group, inshallah, later today, and I think we'll definitely get some traction from there, inshallah. So by next week, I think we'll have some funds raised, inshallah. If not already, like I said, I got to talk to Ajib. We might already have.
Okay.
In the can, not the can.
Okay, inshallah.
Inshallah.
When you ready, Habib.
Okay.
Inshallah. Bismillah.
Inshallah. Message. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم الصراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذرياته وأهل البيت كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم إني أسألك من كل خير سألك من محمد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وأنت أعلم منا ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات ومن فتنة القبر ومن فتنة المسير الرجال ومن عذاب النار والمصير اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد رضي الله عن اصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا حول ولا قوه الا بالله العلي العظيم يا همة الشيخ احضرينا بهذا المحضر ولتأطفي من نظرة تعديلنا بالأمر أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome everyone to our weekly Maliki Fiqh class with our teacher Shaykh Ameen Abdul Awwal, the student of the illustrious scholar, Egyptian Azari scholar Dr. Suleiman Dunya, rahmatullah alayhi. We are studying from a text entitled Ashar As-Saghir, which was written by the also illustrious scholar from the 18th century, from the 1700s, Shaykh Ahmed Dardir, alayhi, who was a scholar of Fiqh and Aqidah and Tasawwuf. Just as Shaykh Ameen, just as Dr. Suleiman Dunya was also a scholar of fiqh and aqidah and tasawwuf. We are studying from a collection of lessons compiled by Shaykh Ameen, who studied with Dr. Suleiman Dunya for well over a decade in New York City as well as in Egypt. And I've given more information, more of an introduction in the past. Inshallah, you've heard me discuss in the past the significance of this material, the significance of the silsila of our knowledge, this lineage of our knowledge, and the fact that Shaykh Ameen, may Allah preserve him, was Dr. Suleiman Dunya's top student in America and the person who's been teaching according to the Maliki madhab, Islam according to the Maliki madhab, longer than anybody else that we know of in America, for more than 50 years now, learning and teaching according to the Maliki madhab. I will say today, by way of introduction, you have to excuse me, that's my youngest son in the background, in the other room. But what I'll say today is that this concept of what we call silsila, right, is extremely important. This means that rather than simply learning from a book, Imam Shafi rahmatullahi said, anybody who's taken their knowledge only from books has missed learning altogether. And the scholars in North Africa, they say, we don't take our knowledge from black marks on a white page, we take our knowledge from one heart to the next. So you have to learn from a person. Doesn't mean that you don't read as well. While studying with Shaykh Ameen, often I would come to him and ask him, should I read this? Should I read that? He said, yeah, you can read all those things. And I would come to him and he would tell me, okay, this thing is correct. This thing is not so good. This thing is good for history. This thing is good to help you with your fiqh, things like that. But there has to be a human engagement, because when you open up a book, you're ultimately being guided by your interpretation of the book. The book can't correct you. You can't ask the book any questions. So you're limited to what you understand from the book. Whereas when you study from a person, that is what can correct and rectify your understanding and your practice. And this thing called silsila is important because it means that you studied with someone who studied with someone who studied with someone, all the way up until you get to the person who studied it with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So all of the information we take in terms of deen, that we take through a silsila like this, ultimately is going back to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's the human transmission from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to his companions, whether one of them or many of them, and then to their students and their students, all the way until we get to Imam Malik, all the way until we get to Shaykh Ahmed Dardir, all the way until we get to Dr. Suleiman Dunya, rahmatullah alayhim, all the way until we get to our teacher, Shaykh Ameen Abdul Awal. So without further ado, I'm going to, turn it over to our teacher, Shaykh Ameen, and I'm going to listen with you all. And I pray that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala help us and bless us to focus and to take the knowledge, to take it, to understand it, and helps us and blesses us to apply it correctly. Bijay Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you feeling today?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Rabbil
Alameen. Let me just make this dua. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذرياته وآل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. And about. So I like to have the brothers and sisters who are listening or viewing, I would like to have your help in locating one of my oldest top students. His name is Ibrahim Abdul Samad. I have been trying to locate him for a little bit of time now. And I would like for you, inshallah, if anybody knows him or hears from him, to ask him to please contact me as soon as possible, inshallah. I really would like to talk with him. And I also have a student that has been with me for quite a long time. And I have come to really appreciate the help that he gives me to have these things that we do as work to get done. His name is Nick, and Harun is his Islamic name, but I call him Nick, and he's one of the brothers in the back that you don't really see too often unless you came to class in the mosque. He's made many of the videos for me over the years, and I just want to let it be known that he's one of the people who actually assist greatly, and whatever we try to accomplish as work for Islam. Inshallah, next week, another student who has been putting in a lot of work over some years. Abdullah Ibn Islam will do this class for an hour or so. And it's good that you get exposed to these different brothers. So inshallah, when I'm not available anymore, you will have some people that you know have spent their time with us, and I think they can help the community, inshallah. Okay. Sometimes when I'm doing classes, I always start my students off by telling them we're not here to for argumentation or to say, well, we're doing something better than that group or this group or something like that. I call that some type of fitna. And I tell all of my students that if you participate in this type of fitna, you cannot be a student of mine, because I'm here for the opposite. I'm here to help the people to find the right method of practicing of Islam. And many times the people who are doing the most talking are the people who should be doing the most listening. So, Yani, we only want to try and accomplish the mission that we were set out for, and that is to help the people to be able to make good Islamic decisions based on knowledge, and to try to live as well as we possibly can while we're in this prison, in this life, in which the Prophet ﷺ say the release from this world for the believer is a release from prison. See, so we know that this is not our destination. This is merely a stopover. And we're trying to accomplish as much good as we can while we're here. Don't get lost in your like and dislike. Focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's like and dislike. And as I said before, if in fact you can be honest and truth with yourself, and you realize that you really have not been trained and studied with someone for any length of time, your Islam is probably guesswork, in which case you need to refocus and try and get it right before our time is finished. Because this is the time to get it right, or to practice and try to get it right. Because after we die and leave this earth plane, there's no coming back to do it again. This is sort of like a one-shot deal. If you get it, you do it, put in your work. When we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there'll be no more work. There'll be no more struggle. But if we don't do it right, and we keep fooling ourselves, when we go before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to be questioning us about, what did we do with our time? What did we do with our health? What did we do with our wealth? So now is the time to correct these things and try our best to fix our life in a way that when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He'll be pleased with us. Okay. So last time I was talking to you about al-kabis. Al-kabis is a physical impurity. Physical, it's something that you can see, you can feel it. It's a physical impurity. And one of the things that I had talked about is that this physical impurity, even if it's, as long as it's not touching you, your place where you pray, where you stand, where your hands and your head touch the ground, as long as that physical impurity does not touch you while you're in your prayer, it could be on the sides of you, it could be in front of you. As long as it's not touching you, this physical impurity does not distract from your prayer. See? And I talked to you about the fact that physical impurity, al-kabis, can only be removed by water, by natural water. A tayammum does nothing for physical impurity or al-kabis. A tayammum only helps with things of hadis, the things that make you need wudu. It can't do anything for physical impurity. There's a question, because in the book, in these books of fiqh, most of the scholars used to interject questions as a way of giving some dialogue about a subject. They would save us time by asking the question themselves and giving the answer. So he asked a question: if you are choking, and due to this, you drink some water, some wine, out of necessity to save your life, do we have to wash out our mouths since the wine is impure? And he said, your mouth is considered pure because you shouldn't eat something impure. And in this case is an exception. Therefore, you have to wash your mouth even if you do not have to pray, because the things in wine are dirty and unlawful. Without necessity, it is haram to make your hand touch the wine. And if it comes or touches your hand, you must immediately remove it, and you have to wash it. So he answered a lot of things in this little example. Then he says another one. Are the women allowed to pray outside? So some years ago, this became a big issue because the women wanted to participate in some outside activities, like on the Eid days and different days like that. And they wanted to be able to take the children out to the parks and, outside. And sometimes when they would be out there, they would be out there the whole day. And so the question used to arise, well, what should they do with their prayers? And of course, some people, they made exceptions for this particular purpose. Some of them made some kind of tent or something like that, or sheets or something that would go behind the women's ranks. But for the most part, this is an exception. This is not a rule. So, in answer to that question, the ulama say, out of necessity, that if they can find some place, a secure place, and by secure place, they generally are talking about a place that they can lock the door from the inside. And if they were in their prayer, someone can't come in and, disturb them in some kind of way. And in regards to them praying outside, the biggest issue is that the eyes of men, foreign men, should not be able to see them from behind when they're making prayer. Which means that if it's a case of the men, foreign men, when they mean foreign, they mean somebody that's not a family member. If foreign men can see you while you're praying outside, then you're not allowed to do it. That the best place for a woman to make their prayer is in their home. And they even extend it even bigger than that and say not only in their home, but in an area of their home that is their area, that other people don't even, in the family don't go into that area uninvited. So her private space is actually the best place for her to make her prayer. For those ladies who like to pray outside their home, and they're very well known in the community, or like different people, when they see them, Salam alaikum, sister so-and-so, Salam alaikum, sister so-and-so. Well, they're considered as doing something that's not very nice, not good. That the outside is not for women like that. They have to go out to do things. Islam is not telling them to be a prisoner, but my teacher used to very much dislike women hanging around the masjid. And so he used to actually send them home, or they had to go someplace, but they couldn't hang around in the masjid. Yani, we are now in an era where what is Islamic has been distorted, especially by the ladies who are always trying to achieve their own idea about what is Islam. In which case, a brother like me, depending on, what the subject is, sometimes they like me, sometimes they don't, but I only understand one way about this, and that is for their own safety, Islamic spiritual safety, as well as physical safety, I have to give them this information. They should spend more time in their own home or in an environment that is good for them safety-wise. Like if they go to their grandmother's house or something like that, other people don't visit there often because, she don't have people in and out. There's no strange men hanging around. This is okay for her. She can, tell her grandmother, Grandma, I got to go make my prayer. Grandmother said, well, go ahead. Any place you want to go in the house is yours to do. And she finds a little niche and she can make a prayer there. But all of this outside praying stuff, that's like they're putting themselves up to be seen, and Islam rejects that. Okay. So it says, The men can pray outside. And they have a talk in Islam that the inside belongs to the woman, the outside belongs to the man. And Islam says that when the woman pray in the masjid, they have to be behind the men and the children. And that is so that the Muslim men will not see them when they pray. We're not like the people who go to the churches and things where, you know, women dress up. They go to the church to be seen a lot. And, you know, in Islam, this is the opposite of what we believe. We believe that we don't go to the masjid to be seen or to see anybody, you know, or see any woman. We only go to the masjid for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his houses. So that whole idea is not an Islamic idea of dressing up and going to the masjid and being seen. This is some other kind of homemade Islam. So I want the ladies especially to consider when they get ready to get dressed and go outside, well, who you dressing up to go outside for? And if you're going to if you go to the masjid is there for you if in fact you get caught outside your home and it's time for the prayer, something like that. And you're afraid that, you know, if you don't do it now, you will be lazy and stuff and don't want to, you know, you won't make all your prayers up the way they should be made up when you go home. So you're going to the masjid to make your prayer. But you're not going there to do anything except make your prayer, come out and go home. Or wherever you're going. You know, you shouldn't hang around in the masjid. Okay. Then it says, can a person stand and pray while outside in the street because he cannot find a place to prostrate? And the answer that the ulama give is that if a person is outside and wishes to pray, he should find something, cardboard or, you know, or use his handkerchief so that he can make sujood. But to stand only and not make sujood when he is able is wrong, and his prayer will not be accepted. He cannot stand only while in prayer simply because he cannot find a place to put his head, and this is due to physical impurities that may be around you in that area, underneath your chest when you make sujood, these type of things. This is not enough of an excuse to only make your prayer standing. All of the postures in the prayer are considered as fard. And unless you fard means that it's obligatory. Without them, you have no action. So sometimes, you know, our own self tells ourselves, oh, I can't make my prayer like that because there's a place that impurities used to be here. I know I saw them there before, and I don't trust putting my head down there. Well, the jurors say that's not an excuse. You should put something there, like a cardboard, newspaper, something that would separate you touching something that may be a physical impurity and not allowing it to get to touch you, or, you know, for you to stand directly on it. You can use something in between that and yourself that is clean and continue to make your prayer in its normal way. So that is not an excuse. It says, He can also look for a place that is dry. Even though he may have seen something there at some time, but if it's dry, and so long as he did not find the body of an impurity and the place is not wet, he can pray on it, and at that time assume that the earth is pure. But he should not lose the ruku' and the sujood of prayer, which are the very important parts of salat. Also, he can buy a newspaper, as I told you, or he can find a clean cardboard or something like that. And then it says, and if he has to use something like that, and if it has pictures on them, he should try to put the pictures opposite his head and hands, or stand on them with his feet, meaning the pictures. Okay. So this particular talk, I gave you a lot of different scenarios to help you to be able to make sound decisions. And I spent quite a bit of time on the one about for women, because my teacher often said, sisters, especially, sisters when they come into Islam and are not trained in jurisprudence, they have a method of finding what they think is the Islamic way to do things. And many times they'll come up with a decision that they think is the right decision. So my teacher said they have to be very careful, because we have found that the character of women in general is that once they get their opinion about something and they think they have the right opinion, it could be something that they're changing the Islam through their own idea. And we have found that this has happened across the board in many occasions. And, it takes a unique type of woman when she hears the true knowledge to realize, uh-oh, I'm making a mistake about that. Let me correct myself. So, he used to say if they could, they would change Islam. And he was referring to a special thing. He was generally referring to polygamy, that if they had the ability, they would take away Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decree and make polygamy haram, just because their emotions tell them it shouldn't be that way. But we have to be extremely careful with that type of thought, because it's like, they had a talk that used to say your arms are too short to box with God. Well, that's what we're dealing with here. Allah has made decisions about some things, and yes, they may not always agree, especially with the women, but in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a decree. So, sometimes when women get older and they start to see the benefit that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given through polygamy, they start to understand that, oh, Allah, He knew better than us. It actually has a unique benefit for us if we can, just keep ourselves under control. So, this is for another talk, because men, knowing that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them permission under conditions, they never talk about the conditions. All they know is that they want to have another wife. So, they think nobody can stop me from having another wife, so they do what they want to do. But in fact, it has conditions under the madhab Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, that if you don't fulfill those conditions, then you can't have it. See? You can't just have it because you want it. You can't have it if you can't take care of it. You can't have it if you can't afford it. And even more than that, you can't have it if you don't have the proper reasons to have it. Not just because you like to smile at this sister. You have any idea how many marriage and divorce situations we have because of the knobs of the brother? And he'll tell the lady almost anything she want to hear just so that he can get with her, you know. And then he'll, you know, say he's a good Muslim brother, but his foundation is wrong. And it usually winds up with a divorce at some point because he started out wrong. If your wife is not sickly, if your wife is a person who could still have children, and these type of things, you know, you have no real reason for marriage to another woman. So it's not something that you could just do indiscriminately. You have to have the right criteria for it. If you don't have the right criteria for it, then, you know, let the next brother have a wife. See? Okay, so I'm going to stop here for this part of the lesson. And inshallah, I'm going to let Dr. Habib see if there's any questions available. Did Frank come on yet? Frank, if you can talk back to me, I'd like to know that you're there.
I am here.
He's there? I mean, not Frank, I mean, I'm Nick. I can see you, Frank. Alhamdulillah. But I'm looking for Nick. I can see that Haj Dawood is there. Okay.
Shaykh, this is Nick's name. There's a brother named H. Nick. I always assume that was Nick, but I don't know if you know for sure or not.
I don't know. Okay, anyway, just go with your whatever you have for me.
Okay. Thank you, Shaykh, for everything, for the class today, for all that you taught us and informed us and clarified for us. Inshallah, we have 3 questions I see so far. And I didn't say this at the beginning of the class, so I'm going to say it now. Everybody, please make it a point to type your questions in the chat. If you have questions, please type them in the chat, inshallah ta'ala. And also, I'm going to put a link in the chat for anybody who's able to make a donation. We mentioned last week that we are collecting to support Shaykh Ameen's work with feeding the homeless. He does this on a regular basis, been doing it for many years, taking food, clothes, toiletry items to homeless people, or homeless and indigent people throughout New York City. So I'm gonna type a link in the chat, inshallah, with instructions for anybody who wants to give toward that. And we're gonna be doing that, inshallah. What date is it, Shaykh? August 3rd? August 2nd. I don't know why I keep thinking it's the 3rd, but August 2nd, inshallah. And if they're interested in going with you on the run, should they contact you, Shaykh, or you have enough people to do that already?
Say it again.
If people are interested in joining you when you go to feed the homeless, should they contact you, or do you have an abundance of people already?
Well, I never stop people from trying to gain benefit for themselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I won't tell them, not to come. What I will tell them is, many times I have had so many people that I didn't always have transportation for them. Like if they have their own car or if they're riding with somebody else, then alhamdulillah, that'll work. But sometimes I have people come and don't realize that we're actually moving around the city to various places where the homeless people sleep. That they used to call it the midnight run, because we go out at nighttime, late at night, and we find the people that are homeless and in need. They group together in these areas. And so we go from one area to the next area to the next area, and we have to have transportation. Sometimes we're further uptown, sometimes we're downtown and little midtown. So, we move around. And, if somebody doesn't have a way of transportation, I will try to find a spot for them, but it's not always that easy because we have a lot of people trying to want to, be involved. Alhamdulillah, a lot of people want to involve themselves in this particular endeavor. So, they can try to, find a way. If they have their own vehicle, it would help a lot. Because we go on a cavalcade. It's like, you've been with us many times. You know that one of the most difficult things is finding spaces to park your vehicles to get out the service to people. Because if you got a lot of cars, that takes a lot of time. We don't want to spend that much time just on the cars. We want to just do our work and then get back home before it's too late. So I'm not going to tell people who don't try, but it would be well to contact me or Nick or Haj Dawood or Ajib, these and then they can tell you exactly what space we have. If we have space, we would like for everybody to be able to participate. We don't really like women too much to go late at night out into these areas. But over the years, I've seen that the people respect the Muslims. When we go out, they respect us. And many times when we bring our sisters with us, they don't disrespect them at all. As a matter of fact, they are very happy many times to see the sisters come because they know they're going to treat them nicely and give them what they need, food and these type of things. So I have augmented that plan to the point that before we leave, I tell the sisters, look, don't wander away from us. You have to stay within our vision for your safety. In any case, it's been working out over the years. We've learned how to do it, and sometimes I've had to send some brothers home. They're out there acting up, and they're misrepresenting what we're there to do. So, mashallah. Okay, so Habib, don't tell them not to come, but try to give them some people that they can contact, starting with yourself. And I don't need a lot of people calling me personally, because then what will happen is, instead of them calling me about the run, they'll start calling me about all these other things that they want done or they want me to try to help them with. And unfortunately, I'm only one person. When my wife was well physically, she actually took a lot of the pressure off of me by, making notes for the people and, putting things in order. So, it wasn't so much of a weight. But like right now, I'm overwhelmed with a little bit too much and not enough help. So anyway, inshallah, don't stop them from coming, but make sure they contact somebody. Okay? So as you like.
Yes, Shaykh. Alhamdulillah. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad. Oh man, mashallah. I was trying to text my information to the group, but the text erased. So mashallah, I'll text it later. We do have a few questions, alhamdulillah. The first question, one of the sisters is asking, and she asked this early in the class. So some of it you may have kind of already answered as you continue, but I want to ask it anyway. She said if she's out and about doing errands, and she's out of the house doing errands, and sees this time it's a lot, and she knows she make it home in time on time. Can she pray in her car?
No. You can't pray forward prayers in the car. Because the forward prayer, Fajr, Zohr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha have certain things in it that are necessary for you to do them in their exactly the correct way. That means you have to stand, you have to bend for ruku, you have to stand, you have to make sujood, you have to sit in between. So all of those postures are what's called fard. You cannot make them sitting down in your car. You can, if you want to make what's called nafil, you could make nafil sitting down in your car, but not the fard. And for women especially, if you're gonna, it's better for you to go home or go someplace of safety and make that prayer. Even if you do it a little late, it's better than doing it sitting in a car or something of that nature, because you miss the fard. So therefore, you're just wasting your time. You miss the fard, you miss the prayer. You understand? Mushtida, yani, if you miss the parts of the prayer called fard, you have no prayer. So you're just wasting your time trying to make up your own way of doing it. If you're listening to me, I'm telling you, you would be better off making your prayer properly a little later than missing the fard by sitting down in your car. So this is from the Madhab Imam Malik Rahmatullahi alayhi, considered as the one of the pillars of Islam, is that in this madhab, everything is from hadith of the Sahaba, from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Imam Malik Rahmatullahi alayhi questioned the leading scholars 80 years after the death of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to vouchsafe this information. The ulama say it is impossible, literally, it is impossible to think that 80 years after the death of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in his city, Medina Munawwara, that things would have deteriorated to the point that they were getting the wrong information from the Sahaba, their children, and their children. The companions, the children of the companions, and the children of the children of the companions. It is impossible to believe that in 80 years, the city of Medina Munawwara, the city of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that things would have deteriorated to the point that people started making bad decisions, Islamic decisions. Not only did Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi questioned the scholars from that era, from those eras. He questioned the leading scholars. See? So there's very little doubt, if none whatsoever, that this is not the best information for the people. Okay, Habib, as you like.
Yes, Shaykh. A sister is asking if she's able to pray in a chair due to a medical condition. And
Absolutely.
She said she has rheumatoid arthritis.
Absolutely, that is a they're exempt. Medical conditions exempt people from doing things the way people who don't have a medical condition have to do. See? So if you have some medical condition, absolutely, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His mercy, you could even make your prayer lying down on your side if you can't sit up. And it would be a valid prayer based on your condition. See? So my teacher used to say there's no reason that a person of sickness can't make their prayer, even if they have to make their prayer by simulating the movement by blinking their eyes or by moving their finger. So, Yani, if your condition is that bad and you still want to be able to try to make some kind of prayer, your prayer is accepted even if you have to do it in some other way out of sickness. Okay, as you like.
Alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khair, Shaykh. The next question we have is actually from Brother Frank. So if Brother Frank is in a position, I can actually just let him take it off mute and answer himself. The question about sujood saw.
Sujood saw, as you like.
I recently added something to my prayer that was a mistake. So I realized that I had to do sujood asad after salams.
Absolutely.
And I was wondering, do I begin that sujood asad after salams in the standing position, or do I stay in the kneeling position and just do the sujood asad?
At the end of your prayer, after you have said salam alaikum, you don't stand up for nothing. You do the sujood saw right there. Right after the salam, you do the sujood saw. That's what they call it, after salam. Don't stand up. Stay in that position. Do the sujood saw.
Thank you.
Like.
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And Brother Frank, I don't know if you want to go ahead and ask your last question too. Not last, because you may have more, but your second question.
I was wondering of an imam called Imam Hussein, who is on YouTube with a called The Prohibition of Riba. I'm just wondering if you know if he's a credible teacher. He's quite old.
I've never heard of him. I don't know. See, this is the difference. This is what happens, Frank. That's a good question because people need to hear the answer. Now, when you study scholarship and you study with somebody who is considered as a leading scholar, in my case, my teacher was considered as the scholar of the scholars. So when scholars had problems and questions or they wondered about something, they would contact my teacher for him to set them straight. And since I know exactly who he is, and I've watched this happen so many times, I just don't pay attention to other people. It's like, he gave me such an extensive education that, I never have questions that I have to go really looking around for answers from other people. So even if I heard something from them, if they wasn't big, if they're not bigger than him, and the question, the thing that we're talking about is something that I have heard him answer on numerous occasions, I'm never going to take somebody else's opinion for that, because Islam is different than some other things. In Islam, the further back you go with scholarship, the bigger is that scholar. The bigger, more accomplished scholars. It's like the Sahaba. Some of them were known for one thing and some were known for another. But the ones who were known for jurisprudence, the ones who had the biggest reputation as being the great jurisprudent, and they have developed a following, their following is not going to go to some other person later, because they've had the best. So they say in Islam, knowledge doesn't get bigger as time goes on. So the ones who stay closest to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in knowledge and practice, they're in the best condition. So I don't really know about other people. Like sometimes people send me things from the internet, and as if I need somebody to give me talk about something that I already knew about from Dr. Suleiman Dunya. So it's like they're wasting their time and they're wasting my time. So I really don't know who that person is, and probably even if I did, I probably wouldn't even comment about it because, it's not really good etiquette to talk about somebody anything if they're not there to defend themselves. So I'm not going to do that. See? But that's a good question. And at least, you're trying to approach it in an intelligent way to find out before I take somebody's information, who's this guy? That's the right procedure. But, I really don't know about it. I don't know about the people of today. I've watched sometimes people that I do know about, and I watch how people are venerating this guy or these people, and like as if they were like the greatest practitioners of Islam. And some of these guys really stink. They're not somebody you should follow, But and I watch the Arabs do it. They chase somebody around as if he's a great scholarly person, and he don't have no credentials. He may have said some things that make them happy, but that don't mean they should follow him. Okay, I'm sorry, but these type of things need a lot of clarification because this is one of our major problems that, I heard a brother talking about racism, and his explanation is something that we already all know. Anybody who has experienced racism throughout their history or their family's history or something like that, we already know. Yeah, racism is rampant even till today. And we know that it's something that has been orchestrated over a period of time to the point that people think racist without even thinking about it. So all over the world, Black people are the bad guy. Not because they're bad, but because institutional racism has been established. So when the Black face is seen, it's seen as a bad, something not right, So, we have to be aware of what's going on in our societies. They know that we don't really pay attention to that. So if they put somebody in front of us who don't have a Black face, he may not be the best person. He may not have the best knowledge, but he will easily, more readily be accepted because of his physical appearance. If he can speak Arabic language, people they won't even look back to see who is this guy. They'll just follow him. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. See, some of the lecture I just gave y'all about the women, there was some brothers during the time I was learning these things that actually tried to argue with Dr. Dunya about, Islam's idea regarding this, because they wanted those sisters parading outside, which gave them an exposure that they could. I almost had to physically correct some brothers who used to stand outside the masjids, and every time a sister came past, they would say, "Assalamu alaikum, sister. Assalamu alaikum, sister." So I went to the masjid. I said, "Listen, my wife comes home, because this is the way that she have to come home past this masjid. And she tells me every time she come home, she got two of my kids in hand, that you got these guys standing outside saying, 'Salam alaikum, sister.' My wife don't want your brothers salamming her. That's an insult. They have no reason to have anything to say to my wife." So this guy, uneducated, but the people think he's the greatest guy in the world. He tries to tell me, "Oh no, there's just salams. Salams are for everybody." Wrong. Salams are not for everybody. If you salam a man's wife in an Islamic country, you might catch a knife in your back. It's an insult, and women should know better. It's almost like having a brother stand on the corner, a guy stand on the corner, your wife going to the store, and he goes, "Hey sister, what's up?" Just because he's saying salam, the salams are not for everybody. See? So in the madhab, they tell the women, don't answer them. Act like you don't hear them. Keep moving. Because that's an insult. That's not Islamic. That's a guy who's looking to have something to say, so he can go from there. Like my teacher used to say, they go from salam alaikum to where you going to can I go there with you? So the ignorance that prevails, and the racism that goes with it, the only way to eliminate that is first to have knowledge of it, to know your history, and then to want change, you have to be the person to orchestrate change from yourself first. So I told those brothers, me personally, I went in their masjid, and I told those brothers, the next time my wife come home and tell me that some brothers stood outside the masjid and was saying, had something to say to my wife, I was coming back in that masjid, and I'm coming straight to that imam who told him it was all right, and I'm gonna beat him down physically. And at that time, they knew that I was definitely serious. Nobody said nothing else to my wife after that. So, some of these people that are walking around like they're our leader, they ain't our leader. They may have a charismatic personality. Some of them learn how to speak some Arabic because they grew up in that environment, but they're not educated. Don't get it twisted. So what you asked me was a valid question. It's just that I can't answer you. But you should try to find out who are these people that's giving information and what are their qualifications. See, you're absolutely right to do that. Okay, Habib, inshallah, Dr. Rasul, I'm listening, and I'm almost out of time.
Okay. Looks like we just have a couple more questions. A brother is asking if there are sisters that are trying to get married. This is a question about polygyny. Saying there's sisters who are trying to get married and they can't find, I'm paraphrasing the question, they can't find single brothers who want to get married. Is this a good reason or a sufficient reason for a married brother to take them on or consider taking them as a second wife?
Here we go. Now, I just gave a very sound talk about that. I may have not crossed that particular bridge, but it doesn't make sense because there are so many more unmarried brothers than there are women that are unmarried that, I don't think they'll ever really fulfill that difference. Every time I turn around, they got somebody coming to my office sitting there with their resume saying, Shaykh, I need to get married. Can you please put me in touch with some sister or something? So that question to me sounds more like she has already some mind made up about some particular person maybe. And she's looking for my approval. Yani, I'm going to tell you like this.
Shaykh, this is a brother asking the question. He was saying the scenario is basically sisters coming to brothers, including married brothers, asking for them to help them, get married.
Why are they going to them? I don't understand the question. Because if he is a person that could marry her himself, why should you marry him? I don't understand the question exactly. I don't see how could she not find single brothers when they got so many single brothers all over the place that, I don't see how you could not know, can't find them. I don't understand the question. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm being, I can't understand that question. I have too many men come to me all the time looking to get married. Well, what happens is that many times the sisters, they already have a preconceived notion about, who they got to marry. Is he tall enough? Is his eyes the right color? Does he have a car? It's these type of things that really, that's all worldly stuff that she's more concerned about. But her first thing should be is, what kind of practicing Muslim is he? What kind of history does he have? Is he a felon? Was he a drug abuser, alcoholic? All that other stuff, that's cosmetic. You got to find out, does he have a history of beating up his wife? These type of things. Be very specific in regards to what kind of brother you got here, but they got brothers everywhere. I got so many brothers that's looking to get married, but she have to be choosy because, these are the same guys that they'll get married, but they can't even support themselves. How they gonna support their wife? They live with their mother. Come on. So yeah, she should be choosy, but everybody had to start out someplace. So like, let's say the brother, he don't really have no real money or nothing, but he's a good brother, so he'll work up to that place. Y'all can work up to that place together. See? In any case, that's not really a good excuse for marrying somebody who's already married, that's not a part of the jurisprudence. See? There was a time in history when they were in warfare that the Prophet ﷺ used to allow what's called temporary marriages. See? He used to allow temporary marriages because the soldiers were away from home, and so that their minds wasn't always messed up about with their needs. They would have temporary marriages, but that's been abrogated after there was no more warfare. Abrogated, Yani. Meaning that those decisions don't stand anymore. So that's not really a good reason, to say I gotta be married in polygamy, or the sister, that sounds like something that the brothers who have already wives, and they want another one, and they don't fit the description for it from any other way. So they say, well, because there's no other brothers. There's other brothers. Okay, as you like.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Shaykh. And if ever I ask a question to the questioners, if I ask a question and I don't do a great job of articulating your question, please always feel free to raise your hand or something like that, and we can let you ask the question. Because sometimes me reading the question, sometimes maybe I don't.
No, you're doing a great job. Don't even worry about that.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Shaykh.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Shaykh. Alhamdulillah. So maybe this will be the last question. Someone asked about a situation in prison. In prison for the Muslims in prison. He was saying that some of the people, they're using cases of soda. So that's one of my boys in the other room. They're using cases of soda like money. And so they'll do things like say, okay, I'll give you a case of soda today, and you give me 2 cases of soda next week when your commissary is full. He's asking, is that considered interest? Is that considered riba?
It's haram. Listen. All this prison business, my teacher had no sympathy. He had no good feeling about these prison guys who, they go to prison, all of a sudden they got on a kufi, they're all pious, they want to ask all these intricate questions, and then as soon as prison time is over and they get free again, they go back to doing what they was doing before they went to prison. Okay? So I'm not really sympathetic. I'll say like Dr. Dunya used to say, prisoners in general, because he didn't completely understand our system. I know that there are a lot of people in prison that don't belong in prison, that wasn't guilty. See? But I also know they got a lot of jive people in prison that's more than guilty, and that's the only thing they got caught for, and they deserve to be where they are. And so don't get in there and then, you become this really pious type person. You wasn't caring about that before you went to prison. And in most cases, once they get out of prison, they don't care about it no more either. See? So it's riba. Riba means that you get something without putting the thing to work in to get it. That's riba. You getting an interest on something that you don't have the right to take interest for. So if you give somebody something and you say, I want two times that back, that's interest. Huh? If a Muslim give another Muslim something, or he gives somebody something, he don't want interest back from it. He say, just give me my thing back. See? So I'm not the right person to talk to about prison matters. Over the years, I have seen the behavior. I got people that came up to me. I had Captain Sharif standing next to me. he was the captain in corrections. He's standing there, you know, and this guy comes up to us and he say, "Yo, brother, I need some money, man. I need some charity, because if I don't get the charity, I'ma wind up doing another crime." So it's like he's trying to put a gun to my head to tell me that I gotta give him money, or else he's gonna be a blight on society. You know what I told him? No, Sharif told him. I said, "Well, you just go ahead. But I tell you what, if I catch you, you're gonna get hurt. You're not gonna put a gun to my head, tell me if I don't give you my hard-earned money that you're gonna do this or that. Man, take that someplace else. I hope you get caught again and they lock your butt back up. Because you don't want to work to help yourself. You want somebody to take care of you. You're a grown man. Okay? So I don't really have a good feeling. I have guys that write me letters. They stopped writing me. They used to write me letters from prison. "Oh, Shaykh, I need you to get me a prayer rug, Kufi, Quran, and this and that, this and that." I said, "Oh yeah, well, where am I supposed to get all that money from? You don't have nobody out there that could write a check, you know? And you want me to go running around for you because you in prison? Man, please, I'm not doing that. You in prison, do your time while you in there, you know, learn how to pray better. I can help you with that. I ain't not running all around spending my money for some guy because he want to do his time off of my back. I wasn't there when you did the crime, and I'm not going to walk you through that. When you come out, if you want help with different things, and I can see you and I can hear you, maybe I will help you. But it's not my responsibility to take care of the people in prison. Okay? So they got the wrong guy for that. Okay, as you like, Habib.
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh. I saw Brother Abdul Adil had his hand raised. Brother Abdul Adil, did you want to ask a question?
Abdul Adil, salam alaikum. Can you hear me, Abdul Adil?
Let me try to take him off mute.
That's him.
Oh, sorry. I think I muted him trying to unmute him.
Oh.
Abdul Adil. There you go.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam, Shaykh. How are you?
Alaikum salam here, barakatuh. I'm okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I did lower my hand because I changed my mind about asking the question, but since I'm on the spot, I'll still ask it anyway.
Inshallah, whatever makes you happy.
So, Shaykh, just in regard to someone else's question about marriage, like I just want to add more insight to that inquiry. It wasn't my question, but I do think it's an interesting question. Like, you know, you kind of even supported what that person was asking. Like, say sisters today, they may feel like the brothers are not up to their standards, and they may be justified by that because they may feel like brothers, don't have careers.
Okay, wait, Abdul Adil, just ask me the question because I'm running out of time. What's the question?
The question, Sheikh, is that is there any grounds for men who do have their stuff more together to take a additional wife if it's a legitimate qualm that women have, that the brothers that are in their area don't seem like they have their stuff together? Can that be a reason for a man who does have his stuff together to take another wife?
No, that's not a good reason. Listen to me. That's kind of like the dunya way of the worldly way of looking at life, okay? Because my teacher always used to say, use yourself for an example. I've been married about 50 years to the same person. When I started out with my wife, we had little or nothing. We were trying to make it. I think I had one thobe or two thobes at the most with patches. You know, my wife, she used to make her little stuff by hand, and We had no extras. And then we started having children at an early time. So that was, but we did the best we could with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for us. And we tried to make ends meet. So if some sister would have looked at me at that time, she wouldn't have thought of me as ideal for whatever she was, whatever she considered as having his stuff together. So marriage is not something that, like this is their worldly value system. That all of us, they're marrying somebody not because of him as being a good Muslim brother, but more to change their status in society. So, they don't have to work as hard to get to a point. If they marry somebody he already is established, then they could just walk in the door and start, doing interior decorating or something. I don't know, man. This is all nonsense. That's not the criteria for marriage. My teacher used to think that everybody's entitled to their choice in marriage. Like you could be a European and marry an African. That's in the mother of Imam Malik, rahmatullahi alayhi. You could be a rich person, marry a poor person, in the mother. See? But he always considered that in knowledge, if the man is of a high caliber of knowledge and he marries a sister, she would benefit from his knowledge to the point that it would be bigger and better for her than if he had a lot of money. So it's the value system. See? So I don't consider that that's like really a good reason for a sister to marry some brother, who has already established himself, and to avoid the brother who's like not really in that greater position. But Islam says what the man have to provide for his wife is nothing like this society is saying. See, he have to give her food for one day. Every day he should have food for that day. He should have a place for her to sleep at night where there's her own where there's a bathroom that she don't have to go outside her apartment to go to the bathroom. See? She should have a table and a chair that when she's cooking food, she can sit down in the chair in her kitchen area and have a table to put the food on. That she should have a safety by being married to this man, that other men and other people are not coming into her house. And then after that, it's a matter of working together to establish yourself in the world. So this is all some other type of understanding about what is Islamic. Do you have any idea how many divorces came from that kind of understanding? So no, Eduardo, that whoever is making that type of decision is not looking at the Islamic way. They're looking at, which usually people who look at it that way, they don't even stay together. They starting out on the wrong premise. The foundation is wrong from the beginning. See, most people, when they get married and they work together to develop a life. They stay together. You marry somebody just so you could change your status, your financial status, or whatever it is, And you're probably going to find out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control. So he may take that same guy, the same person that you thought he had it all together, and level him like Ayub alayhi salam, level him that he don't have nothing. Then see how long you stick with him then. And if that's the case, he may think that he earned something, but he's not the one. My teacher used to say, people walking around as if it's them that's earning. It's not them. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that's allowing them to have this or that. Huh? They got some people, they can put in effort, like crazy effort, like 3 jobs, everything. And they still can't get above butter money. So it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The people who think that they're doing it, they got the wrong idea from the beginning. See? And those sisters, I'm going to tell you again, you know a good man by his level of knowledge and practice. That's how you know a good man. Not by how much money he got in the bank, or not by how he dressed, how cool his clothes look, what kind of car he have. That don't have nothing to do with security and safety from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. As you like, Dr. Rasul, I think I'm finished now.
Yes, Shaykh. Yes, Shaykh. Thank you so much. You gave us an hour and a half this week. May Allah reward you. And
because they're asking, the questions that they're asking are in fact good questions that, you know, it requires talk about it, because many people have the wrong idea, and they're trying to perpetrate this idea as if this is Islam's idea. And my duty is to let you know what belongs to Islam and what belongs to you. What belongs to Islam and what's your own idea. So in this case, it's necessary for me to do my duty. You see? Now I got to go and make my next duty. I got to go and make dua prayer. And, you know, believe me, I'm conscious of that. It's still in good time. We're not doing anything wrong. And so, inshallah, you know, I'm going to make dua now. But I'm satisfied that I gave you guys the right talk, that hopefully you understood the talk enough that it makes you consider what is your stand, where are you at? See? Because I was trained that the only thing that really matters, he say, if you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're going to try to do the things that Allah loves. See? If you love yourself more than you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you're going to do the things that you love. So this is my position with the people. You got to look at, what are you doing? Are you doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or are you doing it to make yourself happy? Okay. Dr. Habib, I'm going to make a dua now.
Yes, Shaykh, thank you. And just to let everybody know, once again, typed in the chat, if you're able to make a contribution to Shaykh Ameen's work to feeding the homeless, the Midnight Run, please do so. We gave the Cash App for you to give your money to. If you can't do Cash App, you can call me. I'll type my number in the chat, and I can give you some alternative ways to give, inshallah. But Shaykh, that's all we have for this week. Brother Ishaq, did you have any announcements you need to make?
Oh no, I think that's good for today. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Brother Ishaq. Thank you, Shaykh. May Allah reward you. Thank you so much, and we're ready to close out, inshallah.
Ameen. اللهم إني أسألك من كل خير سألك منه محمد نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم وأعوذ بك من كل شر استعاذك منه محمد نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما لنا وما أنت عالم به من نار ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسن وفي الكراتي حسن وكينا عذاب النار. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الماء وممات ومن فتنة القبر ومن فتنة المسيح الدجال ومن عذاب النار وسوء المصير. وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاك الله خير.
السلام عليكم Frank. السلام عليكم Haj Dawood.
عليكم شيخ.
السلام عليكم Abdul Adu.
السلام عليكم شيخ أمين، جزاكم الله خير.
جزاك الله خير. السلام عليكم.
السلام ورحمة الله.
Alaikum salam. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum, brother Amir. Good to see your face.
شلون؟
السلام عليكم شيخ امين.
Last night.